Okay, we're about to dive into one of the greatest mysteries in all of biology. And, believe it or not, a brand new clue found in a pond in Japan might just be rewriting our very own origin story. Let's get into it. So, for billions of years, life on our planet was, well, really simple, just microscopic stuff. Then all of a sudden, something completely incredible happened. A new kind of cell showed up, a cell that would eventually lead to, well, us. So what on earth was that huge leap? To get it, you gotta meet the two main players in this story. On one side, you've got the simple cells, the prokaryotes. Think bacteria. No nucleus, just genetic stuff floating around. And on the other side, you've got the complex cells, the eukaryotes, that make up every single plant, fungus, and animal you've ever laid eyes on. And the big, game-changing difference? That nucleus. I mean, that jump from a simple cell with no command center to a complex one with a nucleus, it's not a small step. It's a massive chasm in the story of evolution. And for decades, how it actually happened has been a total puzzle.
Yeah, this wasn't just some minor software update. You could argue this was life's single greatest leap forward.
And here's where the story gets really weird. The clue to solving this whole mystery might just come from a source we usually think of as the bad guy. You know the drill. We think of viruses as these simple, not quite living hijackers. Their whole deal is to get in, make copies, and get out, usually wrecking the cell on their way. But what if there's more to it than that? And just chew on this number for a second. 8%. A full 8% of the human genome, your DNA, is made of the leftover scraps of ancient viruses that stitch themselves into our ancestors' code. They're not just visitors. They're literally part of us. Then, in 2003, the plot thickens. Big time. Scientists stumble upon what they call giant viruses. And these things are enormous. Some are as big as bacteria and have incredibly complex genes. Suddenly, that neat little line between living and non-living got really, really blurry. And all of this paved the way for a pretty radical idea, a theory that might just explain that great leap we were talking about. It's called viral eukaryogenesis. It was first dreamed up way back in 2001 by Masaharu Takemura and Philip Bell. And the idea is kind of mind-blowing, that our cell nucleus, the very core of who we are, is actually the descendant of a giant virus that billions of years ago set up shop inside another simple cell and just never left. So how would that even work? Well, picture this. A giant virus infects some simple ancient cell. Inside, it builds its own little walled-off factory to make copies of itself. But instead of a smash and grab, it turns into a permanent partnership. Over eons, this little factory starts absorbing genes from its host, and eventually, it just becomes the cell's new, permanent command center. And this is what makes the theory so compelling. When you look at the viral factories inside modern giant viruses, they are often wrapped in a membrane, and they're the dedicated spot for all the DNA action, separate from everything else. They basically look and act like a primitive nucleus already.
Now, for years, this was a fascinating but pretty controversial idea. But very recently, scientists found a brand new clue hiding out in a freshwater pond.
This takes us to Japan, where a team led by none other than the theory's original co-proposer, Masaharu Takemura, found a new giant virus. They named it Ushikuvirus, after the Ushiku pond where they scooped it up. To really get why this new guy is such a big deal, you first have to see what its cousin, Medusavirus, does. Take a look. When it infects an amoeba, you can see how it gets inside the cell's nucleus and makes it swell up like a balloon while it replicates. But Ushikuvirus, it does something totally different. And right here is the crucial difference. While its relatives, like Medusavirus, are happy to just use the host's nucleus as is, Ushikuvirus takes a much more aggressive approach. It doesn't use the nucleus, it completely dismantles the host's nuclear membrane. And that is the absolute key here. Ushikuvirus doesn't just borrow the factory, it tears down the old management's office to build its own headquarters from the ground up. This is a behavior we have not seen in any of its close viral relatives. So what does this all mean? How does one destructive little virus from a pond in Japan help us rewrite the entire story of where we came from? It's because Ushikuvirus demonstrates a key missing step in the theory. It shows us a virus that has the ability not just to build a factory, but to first eliminate the host's original command center and completely take control. It's like finding a fossilized snapshot of that hostile takeover, the one that could have, over millions of years, mellowed into a permanent partnership.
As Professor Takamura himself said, discoveries like this are all about giving us a new view that connects the world of living organisms with the world of viruses. So why does all this matter to you and me? Well, it suggests that viruses might not just be the destroyers we make them out to be. They could also be the architects of complex life. It completely messes with our neat definitions of living and non-living, and it means that one of the most important moments in our deep evolutionary past, the birth of the cell that made us possible, might have all started with a virus.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty wild thought. If a virus really did provide the blueprint for the nucleus at the very heart of our cells, well, where does that leave us? Are viruses just parasites we have to fight? Or are they, in a very real way, our ancestors?